Before a single dollar touches your palm, before a single door opens in your favor, before a single soul knows your name, you must already know the outcome. Not hope, not wish, not wonder. No. You must be so deeply convinced of your own success that reality has no choice but to match your mindset. I have met men who possessed brilliance but failed to rise. And I have seen men with average talent rise like giants. The difference was never the gift. It was the expectation. Those who climb don't climb because they can. They climb because they never considered not reaching the top. Success is a state of expectation. The one who expects to succeed inevitably behaves in such a way that success must follow. He becomes a magnet for opportunity, not because he is lucky, but because he has aligned his thoughts, emotions, posture, and action with the outcome he's already claimed in his mind. The world responds to the man who acts like he already owns what he's building. Expectation is not arrogance. It is not delusion. It is not fantasy. It is strategy. It is spiritual certainty translated into action. An action backed by belief creates movement the world calls momentum. Now, if your expectation is weak, your steps will be hesitant. You'll speak with disclaimers. You'll walk with a limp in your soul. You'll prepare for disappointment more than you'll prepare for the result you say you want. You will dress for failure while talking about success. And the world will treat you accordingly because your energy betrays your intentions. You must understand this. The law of life rewards alignment. What you deeply believe, you begin to attract. What you expect, you begin to see. What you act on consistently, you begin to receive. And that which you doubt, you push further away, even if your words say otherwise. You may fool people, but you can never fool your own subconscious mind. And the subconscious runs the show. It records not your hopes, but your dominant emotions. And if your dominant emotion is fear, fear of failure, fear of not being enough, fear of being seen, then your life will mirror that frequency in subtle, persistent ways. But if your dominant state is certainty, not force, not loud, but deep-rooted certainty, then everything begins to rearrange in your favor. You don't chase the result, you become the result. You don't beg for the outcome, you embody it. The most powerful force on earth is a man who believes his future is inevitable. He walks differently, he speaks with precision, he wastes no energy explaining himself to those who cannot see what he sees. He does not flinch when he is doubted. He does not panic when he is delayed. Because he is already living in the result, even while building the road to get there. And when you live in that result, your entire being begins to shift. You rise earlier, not out of obligation, but because you are in preparation. You study not to impress, but because your identity demands mastery. You move with discipline, not for applause, but because chaos no longer fits the man you've become. The world responds to this with doors, with allies, with favor. But you must be willing to carry the burden of belief before you see the reward. That is what separates the leaders from the spectators, the doers from the doubters, the builders from the beggars. Now, you may ask, how do I build that expectation? You build it like a fire, one spark at a time. You start with vision. You get clear on where you are going. Vague goals produce vague outcomes. You cannot afford to be unsure. Decide. Set the course. Name your future. Expectation without specificity is fantasy. You must see it in detail. You must feel it like a memory. Next, you feed that vision with declaration. Speak it aloud daily, not as a question, but as a command. I am becoming the man who leads. I attract what aligns with my highest standard. I do not chase. I attract through preparation. Success is not coming, it's here. This is not a motivational ritual, this is reprogramming. The brain believes what it hears repeatedly, especially in your own voice. Feed your mind with certainty until doubt becomes foreign. Then you reinforce with behavior. Walk like it, dress like it, speak like it. You must become unavailable for anything that does not match the version of yourself you are stepping into. This is the part where most break. They say they want it, but they live like they're preparing to be denied. You cannot water seeds of success with habits of failure. Expectation requires congruence. So ask yourself, Do my actions match the outcome I claim to expect? If the answer is no, you're not in alignment. Fix it, not with guilt, with discipline. And then comes the most difficult part, holding the line. When the results don't show up, when the delays pile up, when the world doesn't clap, you must still believe. You must still move. You must still expect. Because expectation is not a performance. It is a commitment. And commitment without compromise produces outcomes that others call miracles, but you'll call proof. Do not fall into the trap of evidence-based belief. The world says, I'll believe it when I see it. But the achiever says, I'll see it because I believe it. Your belief is the mold. Reality fills it. That mold is shaped by what you dwell on, what you repeat, and what you prepare for. So today, start expecting like it's already yours. Carry yourself like the result has already landed. Let your identity outrun your evidence. And soon, the evidence will catch up. Because expectation backed by alignment is a force the world cannot resist. Expectation is the architecture of achievement. Whatever is built in the unseen realm of the mind must first be drafted by thought, strengthened by belief, and executed by action. Without expectation, you are building without blueprints, laying bricks without a plan, and when the storms of delay and rejection arrive, as they always do, that structure collapses. Not because it was weak, but because it lacked design. Now I want to speak to the invisible mechanism that lives beneath every success story. It is not luck, it is not talent, it is not perfect timing, it is this. The individual expected it long before it was visible. The world says, how did they do it? But the better question is, why were they so sure it would happen? And the answer is simple. They had already arrived internally. When you expect success, like you already have it, the journey no longer feels like striving, it feels like confirmation. You are not surprised by wins. You are not overwhelmed by open doors. You are not thrown off by setbacks. Everything makes sense. Because you've rehearsed this future so thoroughly in your mind, the present becomes a living expression of what you've long since accepted as truth. But what happens when the result doesn't come quickly? What happens when your expectation is met with silence? You hold, you endure. You expect harder. Because success doesn't come to the man who hopes once, it comes to the man who refuses to stop expecting even after disappointment. You see, most people are only as consistent as their results. But the achiever is consistent regardless of results. He doesn't need applause to train. He doesn't need approval to prepare. He doesn't need progress to remain loyal to the vision. Why? Because his identity isn't based on the evidence, it's based on the standard. Let me tell you something. When your standard is built on your future and not your feelings, your mind becomes unshakable. You are no longer tossed around by circumstance. You no longer require motivation. You are disciplined by vision. That's the shift. The moment you start moving like the result is guaranteed, even when nothing around you confirms it, you begin to bend reality in your favor. You stop playing defense. You stop asking for permission. You stop watching others rise and wondering if there's any room left for you. And instead you walk forward, undeterred, unwavering, uninterested in shortcuts. That energy is rare. It's so rare, in fact, that it draws attention. People can't quite explain it. They'll say, there's something about her. He just moves differently. What they're sensing is expectation in motion. What they're feeling is certainty translated into presence. Now let's talk about what happens when this level of expectancy becomes your default state. You begin attracting alignment, not by forcing, but by filtering. You stop chasing things that aren't designed for your frequency. You stop entertaining small talk, small mind, small thinking. You realize that the future you've chosen demands a new level of focus, and you become ruthless in protecting it. You say no quickly. You walk away gracefully. You end conversations mid-sentence if they begin to contradict your identity. This is not coldness. This is stewardship. You have been entrusted with a vision, and if you do not protect it, no one else will. So you build boundaries around your mind, around your time, around your inner circle. You do not allow doubt to take root, not because you're afraid of failing, but because you're too committed to succeeding. Expectation is protection. It keeps you from drifting into mediocrity. It keeps you from lowering your standards to fit the comfort of the crowd. It keeps you from settling when delay tries to convince you that maybe it wasn't meant to be. Let me be clear. When you expect success, you stop arguing with reality. You stop needing everything to feel perfect before you move. You stop waiting for the mood, the alignment, the motivation. You act, you lead, you build, because you've already accepted the outcome. This kind of acceptance removes the fear of failure. Not because failure no longer exists, but because it no longer defines you. You stop seeing setbacks as evidence against your ability. You start seeing them as evidence of your seriousness. You stop saying, this is hard, and you start saying, this is the cost. I'll pay it. Because expectation makes you willing. Willing to suffer a while in silence. Willing to train while others talk. Willing to endure misunderstanding while others perform. Willing to walk alone if necessary, because your destination doesn't change when your company does. Now here is something that most will never tell you. People will begin to resent your certainty, not because you've wronged them, but because your alignment exposes their hesitation. Your movement confronts their excuses. Your refusal to flinch reminds them of the power they've abandoned. Let them feel what they must. You are not here to soften your frequency. You are here to stand in your assignment. And standing in it requires that you outgrow your need to be understood. You are not building for comfort. You are building for impact. And impact is always born in solitude before it reaches the masses. Expectation becomes your sanctuary. When the noise grows, when the criticism rises, when the doubts multiply, you return to the one place no one can touch, your inner decision. The decision that says, I will not waver, I will not question, I will not lower the bar. This is who I am. This is what I've chosen. And this is the future that must unfold, not because the world owes it to me, but because I've already become the person it belongs to. And if you haven't become that person yet, then today is the day you begin. You start with thought. You continue with belief. You solidify with discipline. You reinforce with language. You expand through repetition. You refine through action. And you hold day after day until success no longer feels like a wish but a return. A return to the version of you that was buried under fear, failure, and fatigue. The version of you that expected more, not from the world, but from yourself. You do not need to know the exact timing. You do not need to know the exact route. You only need to know that you will arrive and behave as such. When your identity and your outcome become indistinguishable, when your actions are inseparable from your belief, when you walk like the prize is already in your hands long before it is, that is when the world gives in, not before, because the world does not reward the almost decided. It rewards the man who walks like he's already received. When the seeds of expectation have been deeply planted and nourished with unwavering belief, a transformation begins that transcends mere outcomes. At that point, you no longer question the timing or the manner in which success reveals itself. You simply live in the knowing that what is rightfully yours is already manifesting in every choice, every breath, and every action. You become the embodiment of the victory you expect. Imagine a man who wakes each morning with a serene assurance. His mind is clear, his emotions disciplined, and his vision firmly fixed on the result he has long since embraced as inevitable. He does not measure his worth by yesterday's struggles, nor does he pause to debate tomorrow's challenges. Instead, he moves with a fluid rhythm that is the very echo of his inner conviction. Every decision he makes, every step he takes is attuned to that preordained success. For him, obstacles are merely assignments meant to further mold his character. Setbacks become temporary lessons that only serve to heighten his focus. And every moment of delay is but the universe's way of confirming that his destiny is unfolding exactly as planned. This is not a fleeting state of optimism or a transient burst of confidence. It is a permanent, unyielding condition of the mind. It is the result of countless hours spent mastering your thoughts, refining your language, and aligning your actions with your highest aspirations. The man who expects success like he already has, it lives each day as if his future is not just a possibility but an immovable certainty. And that energy is contagious. It alters the fabric of his interactions and reshapes the environment around him. The secret, then, is to let your inner vision be so vivid that it turns the abstract into the concrete. You must learn to see your achievements, to hear the echoes of applause, and to feel the warmth of triumph, even before these things appear in the physical world. This mental rehearsal is not mere daydreaming. It is a deliberate and systematic practice that reconditions your nervous system to operate at the frequency of success. It reprograms your subconscious to filter out the noise of doubt and to amplify the signals of possibility. And it reinforces the simple truth that the road to achievement begins long before the first step is taken in the outer world. In this state of expectation, every encounter, every challenge is viewed through the lens of opportunity. Even the harshest criticism or the steepest setback is reinterpreted as a stepping stone rather than an insurmountable wall. When you expect success, you do not have the luxury of entertaining negativity. It has no place in the mind of a true achiever. Instead, you fill your inner space with affirmations of victory, with thoughts of abundance, and with the unyielding conviction that every setback is but a setup for a greater comeback. Consider this. The mind that expects success does not see failure as a final verdict, but as an integral part of the process, a necessary component of growth and refinement. It understands that every rejection, every disappointment, and every delay is merely a recalibration, a realignment of the universe toward the outcome you have already accepted. That is why you must train yourself to remain resolute, to hold fast to the truth of your vision even when circumstances seem contrary. Because the moment you allow yourself to doubt is the moment you dilute the power of your expectation, and doubt is the greatest enemy of achievement. The journey to embodying success is not without sacrifice. In the pursuit of an unwavering expectation, you will have to let go of old patterns, dismiss the voices that once assured you mediocrity, and distance yourself from relationships that thrive on the comfort of limitation. This process can be lonely, for the majority are not yet ready to embrace the bold vibrancy of a life fully aligned with success. But understand this, every sacrifice is a deposit in the bank of your future. Every moment of solitude is a clarifying mirror reflecting the magnitude of what you are destined to become. When you choose to expect success, you cast aside the transient cravings and fears that once shackled your potential. You declare boldly that your future is not a series of random events, but the fulfillment of a plan that has been meticulously and purposefully designed by your own mind. You become immune to the pettiness of circumstance. You no longer allow the opinions of the uninformed to disturb your inner calm. You know that the inner world is the only realm over which you exercise complete control, and it is there that you build the bedrock of your destiny. Your actions, then, become a natural extension of that unyielding expectation. Every morning, your routine is like a sacred ritual, a reaffirmation of the certainty that guides your every step. You rise early with a quiet determination, setting your mind to work as a masterpiece in progress. Each activity, be it reading, writing, exercising, or meditating, is a deliberate act of alignment, reinforcing the belief that you are already living in the fullness of success. You train not just your body, but your mind, until the line between thought and action blurs into a seamless stream of creation. Relationships, too, transform under the influence of such belief. You begin to attract individuals who operate at the same high frequency as you do, those who are unafraid of passion and purpose. They are drawn to the energy of certainty, and in turn, they fuel your progress. Conversely, those who persist in the shadows of doubt will eventually fade away, for they are not built to support the brilliance of a clear, unwavering vision. In time, your circle will naturally refine itself, comprising only those who not only understand but also elevate your expectation. This refined association is crucial because the people you surround yourself with serve as both a mirror and a catalyst. They reflect back to you the potential and the power you have recognized within yourself. They challenge you to be better, and they celebrate your growth as if it were their own. In their company, your belief is amplified, and the manifestation of your success becomes not just a solitary pursuit, but a collective evolution. At the heart of it all is a deep, abiding awareness that everything you desire is already in the process of unfolding. It is a knowledge that transcends intellectual understanding. It is felt in the core of your being. You know without a shadow of a doubt that the laws of nature, of energy, and of life itself are conspiring in your favor. And this knowledge is so compelling that it renders obstacles mere detours, failures mere lessons, and delays as natural intervals in a symphony of success that is playing out just for you. In this state, you are always ready for the breakthrough because you have already embraced the breakthrough within yourself. You hold a vision that is unassailable and persistent. Your inner dialogue is steeped in affirmations of achievement, and your actions consistently reflect the truth that you are already living the reality of your highest ambitions. Every challenge that arises is met with gratitude, for you understand that challenges are the very mechanisms by which your potential is refined and by which the universe prepares you for even greater triumphs. Rather than becoming discouraged when faced with adversity, you recognize that adversity is simply another component of the process that brings the hidden aspects of success into the light. It is this unwavering expectation that ultimately transforms your life. It redefines your character, molds your habits, and directs the course of your destiny. You become the living embodiment of the success you envision. And as you continue to embody this truth, your reality inexorably shifts until the world around you is a perfect reflection of the highest version of yourself. So now envision this new paradigm. You are not waiting for success. Success is already yours. You do not search for opportunities. They gravitate naturally towards you because your energy is calibrated to attract them. Every sunrise finds you prepared, every moment a chance to reinforce your destiny, every encounter a stepping stone toward the grand design you have already set in motion. And in that grand design, nothing remains static. Growth is continuous and evolution is relentless. You are not the same person you were yesterday. You are a work in progress, a masterpiece in the making, constantly being refined by the power of your expectation. Each experience, whether it appears as a triumph or a trial, is an integral brushstroke on the canvas of your destiny. You learn, you adjust, and you remain steadfast in your belief that success is not a destination but a journey that you have already begun and are destined to complete with astounding certainty. The final truth you must grasp is that every ounce of your expectation is both a seed and a magnet. It seeds your inner world with possibilities and magnetically draws in the events, people, and circumstances that align with your vision. You create an environment in which every action, every moment, and every decision flows naturally toward the realization of your goals. And because you expect success, the universe finds it impossible to withhold it from you. There is no waiting period when your mind is fully aligned with your destiny. There is no doubt when your inner state is rock solid. There is no compromise when you have declared your future with absolute confidence. Your life becomes an unstoppable force, an ever-progressing march toward the fulfillment of your deepest desires. Thus, as you stand at the threshold of your future, remember that the journey you are on is no longer about seeking success. It is about living success. It is about embodying a state of being so powerful, so persistent, so unwavering, that the very fabric of reality adjusts to accommodate your destiny. Expect success like you already have it, not with a hopeful heart, but with a resolute spirit, a disciplined mind, and an unyielding will. And as you move forward with this certainty, know that you have reached the pinnacle of self-mastery, where the future is not an uncertain possibility, but a beloved certainty. In this state of expectancy, you become the architect of your own magnificence, the living proof that success is not something to chase, it is something to embody, to manifest, and ultimately to live. Keep walking, keep acting, keep believing, and keep expecting. For the moment your inner vision aligns perfectly with your outer reality, you will see that success, as you have always known it in your heart, is already yours.